Hello, Eamonn. Eamonn Sayers. Do I pronounce it well?
Sayers.
Sayers, Sayers.
Yes, yes.
You are
There was a
the
there was a famous writer in Ireland called Peg Sayers. She wrote in Gaelic, and
uh-huh.
everybody in Ireland had to study her projects for their leaving cert, and she wasn't very popular
All
because
right.
she was a very depressing person, a great writer, but what she spoke about was the hardships of rural Ireland because she lived in an island off the coast of Ireland.
Okay.
So as bad as it is on the island of Ireland, it's even worse on a small island off Ireland.
Yeah, that's a very good introduction because in the time of containment, that's exactly what we are experiencing now. So good to remind a
Yes,
little bit of.
everybody is an island.
Yes, so to some extent, definitely.
Yes,
So
yes,
you are the CEO of the Guinness Enterprise Centre in Dublin.
yes.
So I'm Jean Vuillard. I'm the CEO of socialworkplaces.com and the organizer of the Coworking Europe conference. We met first 2 years ago when we had the conference in Dublin,
In Dublin,
and
yes.
the Guinness Center was part of the tour that people could make during the week of the conference. And then we reach out just first of all to catch up and say, okay, where are you now for since this 2017 I think conference, and also because you keep expanding, so it's not because of the troubled period that we have that you stop having perspective and building up
Yes,
things further. And I stumbled upon this announcement of you expanding to create additional capacity for startups in Ireland and
yes.
entrepreneurs. But maybe first, can you introduce us a little bit? Because from what I remember in Dublin, the Guinness Center was definitely one of the biggest entity to support entrepreneurs and startups in the country, but also one of the biggest co-working spaces.
Yes.
Things changed in the meantime, I guess, because a bigger player came in Dublin. But could you just remind and refresh our memories about the Guinness Center and where you are
Yeah.
now?
Okay. So hello, everybody. Yes, the Guinness Enterprise Centre. It's a not-for-profit centre. I prefer to use the word not-for-loss. Um, we have great stakeholders: Enterprise Ireland, Dublin City Council, Dublin City Local Enterprise Office, Diageo in Guinness, and Dublin Business Innovation Centre. And but none of those stakeholders give us funding. So the only people who give us funding are the actual startups themselves. So we've run a very, very lean ship, but yet provide an extraordinary service to what people are building.
Mhm.
We currently, we'll say before we started building, we were home to about 90 what we would call resident startups, employing about 400 people on site and the bones of about 130 co-working companies.
To to be accurate, it's in the buildings or the campus in the Guinness campus, right? We are close by.
Well, yeah, it's on the very southeast corner of, it's a nice description of the Guinness
Yeah.
campus. Um, would you believe the building itself used to be where Guinness kept their horses all those years ago, and it was within maybe half a kilometre of a canal network which spread across Ireland. So the horses would bring the really important product and cargo of Guinness to the canal, and obviously start off on their journey to help Irish people enjoy their Guinness. And also similarly, they used to drag the horses again would drag the Guinness down to the River Liffey, which would be about maybe another kilometre
Yeah.
north of the Guinness Enterprise Centre. So the GEC itself, was part of a supply chain, as we would call it now,
Yeah.
all those years ago. So there's great history already in the building. It was transformed in the late 90s. It was just a big empty shell at that stage, and they put three floors into the building. And since then, more than 1,000 startups have called the Guinness Enterprise Centre their home.
Okay. And do Guinness support you, or is just historical the name of the building that kept being on the front door and that's it?
Yeah, no. So the chairman of our board is a guy called David Varian, fantastic chairperson. In simple terms, he was the head of global supply for Diageo. So we get a lot of learnings and leanings from him.
Okay.
With our new expansion, paying a particular keen interest in what we're doing. There's some extraordinary stories around the entrepreneurs in the GEC, and Guinness are probably one of the best storytellers, as are Irish people, in the world. And yeah, we tap into their resources, but not, I suppose, as good a relationship as we would like. But we're building on that keenly at the moment.
Okay, brilliant. So now you have 160 startups under the roof, right? That's what.
No, that's the plan. So we're
Okay.
expanding. We're embarking on a 10 million euro expansion. I have some pictures I'll share with you soon.
Yeah, perfect.
And the idea is to create a global entrepreneurial super hub and really position Dublin as one of the leading startup cities of the world. With the expansion, we would hope to maybe attract 160 startups to be based in the GEC, and have plans for more than 200 co-working companies to similar to call the GEC their home. So
Okay.
when you're in the GEC, we'll help you for free. We will help you with your business plan, with your market strategy. Through Dublin Business Innovation Centre, we'll help you get access to finance. Dublin BIC, who are one of our stakeholders, and the managers,
Mm-hmm.
they run on an all-island basis, what's called the Halo Business Angel Network. And approximately 50% of all high potential startups in Ireland would get their first stage of $250,000 approximately funding through the Halo Business Angel Network in partnership with Enterprise Ireland.
Okay.
So at all stages, where it's all about us, how can we help our entrepreneurs grow and scale their companies, or, and this is important, or can we help them fail as quickly as possible?
Okay. Yes. That's part of the storyline that you have. That
Unfortunately.
learn quickly that if your business model or your business plan is, or your initial idea is not right, don't waste too much time. Just switch to something else quickly.
Yes, exactly. And I suppose what we try and do is try and create that environment and create that community of shared learning, of knowledge exchange, and of maybe sharing experiences, so that it's quite easy for a person, who's got big question marks over where they're going with their company, that they can just reach out, talk to somebody who's only 3 months or 6 months ahead of them on their journey, on their pathway, or maybe even talk to somebody who's 3 years down the line, who would have started in the GC with one person, maybe have now 10 or 12 people and are just about to leave us.
Okay. When we were in Dublin, that's something which struck us. That we had this idea of Dublin being a very active digital city because of the presence of Google and Amazon and all those big names. But speaking with the authorities and the community there, it sounded that actually the local startup ecosystem was not fueled that much by the presence of those big guys. Is the Guinness Centre
I think that would be
one of these?
that would be a fair comment, I would say.
Yeah.
But to be fair to them, they're getting more and more active. Maybe it's individually within the organizations they're getting active.
Okay.
Bear in mind, the decision making for a lot of these multinationals might necessarily be in the office that's physically where you are.
Yeah.
But I have to say they are very good at opening their doors and willing to help. And it's
Just
really about
changing.
you coming to them with the right proposal,
Yeah.
and make it easy for them and their teams to help you, and for you to in turn to help your startups. Ireland is a very small place when it comes to getting access to people. It's very easy. And the community in general are very, very good at helping each other and sharing, and come together regularly, be it for one-off events or be it for more larger projects.
Okay, and because that was another element that, and I read that recently in a report about Ireland, that they still say there is a lack of what they call walk-ups, like co-working space, that is also limiting the expansion of those startups, finding the right environment. I had a feeling that those things that changed already also the last couple of years, because we saw some of the talent garden went in, and we know the troubles that they've been through, and some of the other bigger guys are out there. To what extent did it change also the mindset and the dynamic to that extent, and how do you connect to that?
No, I think it's interesting. know, the Talent Garden and We Work, you know, have come to Dublin in the last 2 years. But I think that really just shows where we're bringing Dublin and Ireland as a country from a startup perspective. You know, that we're attracting, you know, the big players on in the global stage are now deciding, yeah, Ireland is a place where we need to be.
Yeah.
So that's really, really encouraging. I suppose, you know, at the same time, if you can afford to go into WeWork, are you a startup? I'd question whether you are or not. So we're more in a scenario. Our role is to help early stage entrepreneurs at the very, very start of their journey. You know, so like to give an example, like we're only charging €120 for our co-working per month.
Okay.
You know, it's not about making money for us. It's about us. How can we help you create your dream, create your vision? You know, we're in a privileged position. Any person who manages these hubs and are on their teams, because it's not our dream, but you're asking us as an entrepreneur to say, Eamonn, we heard what you're going to do, what you do in the GC. Please, can you help me realize my dream? It's not very often. It's not very often you get a chance where a person says to you, "This is my dream. Can you help?" You know, wow, what a privilege.
How do they come to you? And is there a kind of waiting list, or how does it work? Is it something, the application is very hard, or do
no, it's literally walk in the door.
Okay.
It's quite simple, you know, and I think it goes back to our ethos of being a not-for-profit. We want to help you, and you know, the easiest answer you can say to a person is no. What we say is no, but what we say is maybe if we can't help you, we normally will know somebody who can. So we'll make an introduction and make sure you get to meet the right person at the right time of your growth. A lot of people, you know, have these aspirations that these are the people they want to meet, and then you see their business model and see their business plan, and you say to them, no, listen, you're not ready to meet the person you want to meet. You need to do A, B, and C before you get there, because you might have only one chance to meet this person or one opportunity, and you want to impress them when you do. So that's part of the journey. Sometimes you have to hold on to the reins, as it were, and tell them just wait a while, get to this standard, get to this level before you approach a key player in a certain industry.
Do some of those co-working operators also, how do they look at you? Because you have a very attractive brand, of course. So putting Guinness on anything would be very appealing for anyone. What kind of relations do you have with them, or do they see you? Is there do they really see it as a complement to what they are offering, or?
Yeah, I think, you know, there are different stages of growth for any company, for any startup. I think we in the GC are very much at the very, very earlier stage. Like we have 30% turnover year on year. We want you to come in, we want you to grow to a certain scale, and as soon as you're 10 or 12 people, you have to leave us, because simply we don't have the space for you. So for a lot of the players in and by then, it's only then you can actually maybe afford the €400, the €500 for a desk. So by the time you're making money, we're probably saying goodbye to you.
So you are filling in the pipe to some extent.
Exactly. And we're based in a part of Dublin, in Dublin 8, which is recognised as being one of the poorer parts of Dublin. Like right beside us are, you know, our old flats from, you know, years ago. Brilliant neighbourhood, brilliant community there, but you know, unfortunately, physically, the place needs an uplift. And that uplift is really, really coming in the next 2-3 years. Right beside us, a 6-minute walk in the GC. The government are investing over $2 billion in the National Children's Hospital. Guinness themselves, that we mentioned earlier, Guinness have 12 acres on site there of old, amazing buildings that are lying idle, lying empty. And they've announced really recently a $750 million expansion. And in essence, they're going to create a new town right in the middle of Dublin. And it's going to be fantastic. We're going to be right on the southeast corner of that. It's going to be retail, it's going to be residential, it's going to be social, and it's going to be fantastically attractive for our companies. But what's happened more and more in the last 2-3 years is our companies are leaving GC, but most importantly, they're staying in Dublin 8, and they're adding vibrancy and intelligence and knowledge into the area, and significantly some buying power into the local in the area. And that's helping revitalize Dublin 8, and in turn revitalizing Dublin.
Very interesting. One other thing which struck me reading through this article about your expansion is that you are you have what you call a co-connect program,
Yes, yes,
And definitely you also weaving this network of enterprise center across Ireland
yes,
and beyond, because you mentioned that
yes,
you have contact with Russia, US, etc. We know that within the co-working community, that's very hard to connect communities which are by definition very localized and their own
yes.
culture, and to bridge them together on top of just saying, okay, we are connected, but on the concrete, in the concrete field, it's very hard sometimes to really see engagement and opportunity. How do you overcome that? And can you tell us a little bit more about this initiative?
Okay, okay. So, um, we're in a position, we're running a good center. Um, so we've kind of said, well, what's our next step? And how can we help Ireland? And that's the way we see it, because these companies grow into large companies that in turn are helping Ireland. Years, there's a global problem in one sense, for people living in urban world, is that the rural part of the countries are becoming, I suppose, less populated, and the people who stay on in rural Ireland and in rural Belgium, I'm sure, and other parts of Europe, it's invariably older people who are living in the rural part. And I come from a place called Kerry. Here's my jersey there saying Kerry.
One of
And
the most beautiful place in Europe, for sure.
the most in the world, never mind Europe. Kerry is known as the kingdom. There's the kingdom of God and there's the kingdom of Kerry. So, you have to, it's one of those places on your bucket list that you have to go to. But
Yeah.
that's where I come from. It's 300 kilometers on the southwest of Dublin. I always joke it's neighbors is the United States of America is our most westerly neighbor, which
Sure.
is technically true. So,
Yeah.
but I started thinking, how can we help? How can we in Dublin help where a lot of us come from, which is rural Ireland? So we started off with this Co-Connect program. Across Ireland, there's about 300 hubs, maybe small community centres, maybe they hold 40 people, 50 people type of things
Yeah. Yeah.
in small towns across Ireland. So how can we help them? Because a lot of people who start their journey in these places always feel that they have to move to a more populated area, be it Cork, Limerick, Galway, etc. So we decided, okay, well, how can we help them? So first thing we did was we got in touch with the hub managers, and through our Co-Connect program, and Juliana, who leads it, um, we offer a very simple solution to them. We say, here's your Dublin hub. Startups are coming to Dublin. Rather than going to a coffee shop, rather than going to a hotel lobby, that you come into the GC, use our co-working space, and you get it for free for the day. And similarly, for any of our companies in the GC, anytime you're going anywhere across the country, you can get a similar arrangement. So that was the start of it. But then we said, well, how can we help them more? And what we're trying to say to the startups across Ireland through the hub managers is that you can get access to everything a startup in Dublin can get access to. But most importantly, you don't have to leave where you're starting your journey from. You can stay in rural Ireland, you can grow and scale and become an international player. And that's the message we're trying to do
Mm.
through in the GEC. We also have, and we're looking then to partner with hubs all across Europe and across the world. We've partners in London, we've partners in New York, you mentioned in Moscow, etc., Milan and Manchester. But we're looking to get more and more partners to say, look, how can we help our own startups um, grow and scale? And the way I put it, it's a good product offering to be able to offer your startups to say, well, I need to go to Dublin. You're going to Dublin. Well, do you know what? Here's Eamonn's email. Say hello to him, and maybe you can use the GEC for free. And the most important thing for them is they're going into an environment that they're used to. They're going in amongst other startups. They're getting to build their own connections and maybe share their journey, maybe meet somebody from their own country, so that when they're staying in a city for 2 or 3 days, they don't feel isolated and alone.
And how do you, how to say, manage to break the ice between all those people? Because indeed, that's there has been around this idea that rural co-working will become a big thing, especially now, as we are all stuck in our gardens.
Yes.
For those who are lucky enough to have a garden, and on paper it sounds so incredibly obvious that that's the best way to redynamize those rural areas and remote areas, and in the same time decrease the pressure on metropoles, which are stifling due to because of overcrowded areas and everything. still it's still quite hard to manage to get that taking place really. You see that, for instance, we have this example in France. They have been publicly funding a lot of what they call third places in the villages and everything. But most of the time, those are places which are not so much frequented, and the attendance there is quite low, and not necessarily connected with also very innovative jobs or entrepreneurship. Is there something that you also have experienced? And if yes, how do you? What's the plan to go over that issue?
So we have had that problem, and we've already started on a program to try and alleviate that problem. And we've come up with a program called Prosper. So Ireland is, just like other parts of Europe, as a country, it's broken up into different counties. County of Kerry, Cork, Galway, Limerick, Cavan, Meath, Leitrim, etc. And people are very, very proud of where they come from. So we've created this idea called Prosper, which is a global diaspora business community, primarily at CXO level, of people who come from the county, or maybe their parents come from that county, and they have an association. Maybe they spent their summer holidays there, or maybe they just have grown to like that particular part of Ireland. They say, yeah, I'd love for this part of Ireland to be better. And when we say better, maybe that there's more commercial there, there's more, and there's more, maybe a better energy, better soul in the place. So we're trying to help through Prosper, trying to create a better ecosystem that attracts companies, number one, either to stay there, or number two, maybe to attract a second site there, as the case may be. So what we have started on, called Prosper Kerry, Prosper Limerick, Prosper Cavan, is creating a global business diaspora of people who want to get back to where they're from. And every time we meet up, we get 2 or 3 early stage companies who are based in the county. They present, and then we say to the network, look, these guys are growing, are trying to scale their company out of Kerry or out of Limerick. How can you, as a Limerick person, help these guys grow and scale, and most importantly, do it from where they started? And that's beginning to work very, very well. Some companies are attracting more and more people. People are moving back to where they're from because now they're having direct access to decision makers. And it would be wrong of me not to acknowledge, the chief executives of what we call in Ireland the county councils, the chief executives of the local enterprise offices, Enterprise Ireland regional people, IDA regional people, university entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship people. We're bringing these guys all together in each county to say, how can we, as the diaspora of the county, help you on your plans? So it's not about us trying to impose on them or saying you need to do this, this, and this. It's about us saying to them, how can we help?
Okay.
And it's proving a lot of fun. I'm re-engaging in Kerry. I've re-engaged with Kerry people. I get a chance to see my mum and dad a bit more often than I probably would have otherwise. So maybe there's a selfish part of it, but that's okay too. So we are trying to lead the way to try and help redevelop rural Ireland, but we're only just one cog in the wheel. It's, there's an awful lot of other people doing great work in the regions too.
It sounds brilliant, this diaspora idea. Definitely. No, it's very inspiring. Congrats for how long has it been in operation?
We're about 2 years into it now. We've 3 counties up and running, and we're looking to maybe get 3 more counties. Well, we would probably have another county up and running, only for coronavirus decided to say no, Eamonn, not rural Ireland this month. But one thing I have to say, I've got a phenomenal team of people. Mary, Linda, make sure I get them all right now. Mary, Linda, now that I've started, Julianne, Madison, Vicky, Ali, Ronan, etc. So a phenomenal team. I hope I haven't left anybody out there.
Yeah.
It just shows that, that's just a very small team. It's a team of less than 10 people, and we're working directly, physically with 90 startups, resident startups, over 100 co-working companies. The other thing as well we've embarked on is, which is led by Maddie, is a university program. So we're partnering with universities from all across the world. We're working with 30 of the top 50 MBA schools across the world. And what we're doing is these MBA schools are looking for real projects amongst our startup community. So the idea is a startup will come to us with the challenge, and we'll get a group of 4 or 5 MBAs to work on it. And it could be something quite simple. It could be a 3-week pricing strategy, or it could be something much more deeper, looking at our business model, or looking at a whole new market entry strategy into a particular region. But again, not only are we offering that to our startups in the GC, we're offering this as a product offering to every hub manager in Ireland. So now the person in Galway or the person in Kerry can say to their hub guy, well, we can get an MBA school in Notre Dame, or we can get an MBA school in Paris to work directly with your startup.
You know what they say about MBAs, that the MBAs need the startups mindset and mind more than the startup need the MBAs.
Yeah, no, exactly. But everyone is a winner, and I suppose from the MBA perspective, and which they really really like, is if you're working with a startup, startups are agile. They can make quick decisions. They can move. So if you as an MBA talk to a startup entrepreneur, you make a suggestion, you might get an email the next morning from the entrepreneur saying, "Yeah, we've made that change. Now what's next?" And sometimes I know you're joking, but sometimes the MBA might say to the startup, "Actually, the way you're doing it right now is the best way we can see as well." And what a great validation that is, to be able to say that.
And if the MBA students get a higher grade thanks to the startups, definitely.
But also then if you're looking to talk to an investor and say, look, our French market entry strategy has been looked at by the HEC school in Paris, or INSEAD in Paris, etc., as the case may be. Immediately, an investor is going to say, wow, these guys are really, really thinking deeply about where they're going. They're engaging with, global brands. We sometimes forget about these universities having and their global imprint. And they're getting good knowledge of the market.
And
but again, it's helping us position the GC as Ireland's kind of home for entrepreneurs, and how can we help your startup grow and scale from where it started from?
And quite often it's true that it creates also the personal contacts and network that might be useful later, also because some of those guys will work in corporates, and at the end of the day, corporates will become among either your partners or your customers, most likely.
And that's actually, now that you mentioned the word corporate, that's kind of our next stage of growth in the GEC, is to work more directly with corporates, and again to see how can our startups help them with their problems. So that's going to be an interesting 18 months, 2 years as we get that up off the ground.
Brilliant. Sounds super exciting. And so the next the infrastructure will be completed by next year, right?
Let me see if I can just share a few pictures maybe of what we're hoping to do. So this is the briefly, let me, if we can, is it letting me scroll down? So this is what the GC will look like. And what you can see actually in the background there are, old Guinness buildings. And if further back actually is the Guinness storehouse, where 1.5 million people and more visit every year. So it's literally only about 200 meters from the front door of the GEC. And as part of our partnership with Guinness, all our startups get access to the Guinness storehouse. So they often end up there quietly to have a quiet beer with a potential customer, which is a nice little additional value we can give to our startups. So this is the roof. So we're obviously starting on the attic, taking off the roof. That's the 4th floor being placed on it right now, and that's the other half of the building that they've just started on. And this is what the GEC will look like at night. It'll be it's going to be a really exciting place to grow and scale your startup.
Wow. And you can play rugby or...
it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Which, funny enough, I'm a rugby referee as well at the weekend. So might be too small for a rugby pitch, but we'll see what we can get away with.
Sounds super exciting. Lovely. We hope we can visit you, as soon as possible.
We're more than welcome, and vice versa. I must get over to Belgium. It'd be good for my soul.
Definitely. We would be super excited to have you. And cool. Eamonn, thank you so much for the discussion.
And
we
what
should
we
do that.
maybe just one last thing, if there are any hub managers across Europe who are looking for a partner in Ireland and in Dublin, please drop us an email, info@gec.ie.
We will share that in the post,
Super.
link to the video.
Great.
Great. Take care. Stay safe. Stay home. And
thank you. Look after yourself and your loved ones.
Thanks.
Yeah. Take care.